Just a quick heads up, this might be a bit of a long video because in this video, I'm going to talk about the new features that I'm adding to Smart Menu 2.0. Now, as of today, this Smart Menu 2.0 is not out yet. It might be out a week from now. So if you're watching a week from now, then it's probably out. But as of this week, it is not out. And the reason why I'm creating this video, because I want to show you the new features and I do want to get your feedback. So your feedback is very important. Let me know what you think in the comments below of all these new features that I'll mention here shortly. And also, if you want to see any other new features in this tool, definitely let me know. So let's talk about Smart Menu. So what is it? Well, Smart Menu is a tool that I created because of a struggle that I had. So for example, I remember I was working on a gig for Fox Sports and it was an MLB Mogurt. And I had to create a drop-down list or a drop-down menu using expression controls, right? Drop-down menu. And for each team in the MLB. So basically, I would have to go in here, change this to the team, and then go to edit and type in each team. You can't hit tab to go to the next item. So you have to type it in, hit plus, type it in. And sometimes you would misspell things. So you had to go back and forth and it was frustrating. And here's why, because I already had a composition full of all the layers. So I had layers for each team, like it was a logo and that layer was named after that team. So I already had all the names listed here. So I remember thinking at that time, like, wouldn't it be great for me to just select those layers and create a drop-down menu based on my layer selection? And that's what motivated me to create Smart Menu. So let me show you how it works. And as I show you how it works, I'll mention some of the new things that I've added. So let's start from scratch. I'm going to delete everything and I'm going to pretend that these are team logos. So I'm going to select these and we're only dealing with 5, but imagine you have hundreds. So we're going to import these in. We have them in here. I'm going to bring them into a new composition and I'm going to call this one, let's call it logo. And we're going to go inside. We're also going to bring in a new shape layer. Basically, it's a null layer that we can store everything in. So we're going to call this one controls, and we can also kind of parent everything to it. All right, so we have the basic setup. So now imagine again that we have a long list of teams. So I wanted to create a drop-down menu based on my teams here. So now I can just select each team. And by the way, selection is very important. So based on how you select, so if you hold control and you select it like this, based on your selection, it's going to create the drop-down menu and it's going to be in the order that you selected it in. So I'm going to just do this. I'm going to select them like that. So here's my selection. And then the last layer you select, in this case, is going to be controls. That's the layer that it's going to create the menu on. So that's very important. The last layer is the layer that everything goes to. Okay, so once you made your selection, now I can go over here and make sure I've added this new icon for drop-down menu. So it's always selected by default. And then you can just run it. You create this, and then it will basically create on this layer a drop-down menu with all your items. And by the way, let me undo this. You can call it maybe team, and then run it again. And so make sure you make your selection. So selection is important. And boom, just like that again, we have it in this layer. There it is. So we have all of our teams in here. So as I was creating this, I remember thinking, man, when you bring in logos and stuff, it does give you this like extension at the end of each name. And I remember I had to do it manually, which wasn't that big of a deal, but someone emailed me and said, hey, Sergey, love your tool, but I had like 200 layers with file extensions that I had to like manually remove. And it was kind of frustrating. So if you can figure out a way to get rid of it, that'd be great. So I kept that in mind. So thank you for that feedback, by the way. It was really, really helpful. And I don't know why I didn't think of that because I was deleting it myself before. So I was like, all right, so that's why I created this button right here, XT extension. So when you select this and when you make your selection and when you have your drop-down menu selected, so we have the name of the team, and when you run it, watch this. So now, we need to go to controls and we have the team drop-down menu. And as you can see, file extensions are gone, which is super awesome. Now, in some cases, you want to have a drop-down menu that already has, the list, but maybe you want to have the first item set to none because sometimes you just want to disable it. And for that, I'm going to delete everything we just made. So we're going to make our selection. We're going to activate extension and we're going to activate this none button. So basically when you run it the same way, now you have the same list, the same drop down menu, but instead it goes to the second item. It's going to have that one selected, but then you also have option to turn things off. So obviously it just creates a drop down menu. It doesn't really do anything when you select this. It just creates a drop down menu. You can use it in your projects. You can link things up. You can rig it yourself using expressions. Go nuts. But for some of us, we don't want to do that. So we want to be able to click the button and automatically basically select a team we want, and I want to see Spain in here, right? I want to see the team logo that I picked. So for that, let me delete everything. I created another icon here, visibility. So at first it started out this being just a drop-down menu tool. That's why it's called Smart Menu. But then it just kept evolving. You just start thinking, oh, I want to add this, I'm going to add that. So visibility was definitely one of them. So when you have that one checked, and when you do the same thing, when you make your selection, and the last layer you select, that's where the menu is going to be in. And then you run it, and then watch this. So now you have the same concept. We do have none here. So if I set it to none, no logos are visible, right? But if I set it to Ukraine, I'll see Ukraine. If I set it to USA, I'll see USA. You get the concept here. Okay, so that's that. Now, another thing I've added here would be these icons in here. So, and we'll talk about those in here like later, but I think it'll make sense as we go further ahead. So, all right, so let me delete this. So we have drop-down menu, we have visibility. Now, here's another thing. So if I made my selection, we got rid of the file extensions, but what if I don't want for them to be all caps? What if I want for them to be title cased? So that's what these are for. So we have uppercase, lowercase, title case. This one is sentence case, absolute, sentence case, relative, which I'll probably mention that one. And that's just set to regular, whatever you have it set at. So in this case, I'm going to set it to title case. We're going to run this, boom, and just like that, we'll make sure, I don't think I clicked it right. So let's do this. Okay, title case, all that is set, boom. Okay, now it is there. So as you can see, it's all title case, even though right here, they're all uppercase. So again, I can get rid of all of this. We can make our selection, and I can say, let's do all lowercase, and then boom, pull it in or push it into controls, and they're all lowercase. So that's what it's for. So these are very useful. Okay, now another thing I want to mention, we do have this area right here. So you can either do it and basically create a drop-down menu based on your selection, or you can do it based on what's in here. Now, if this one is empty, it automatically defaults to your layers. But if you type anything in here, it will automatically ignore the names in the layers, and it will go with whatever you have in here. So for example, I can make my selection, and let me kind of set this to that. Okay, so let's undo everything. And I can take all of these names and pull it into here by using the pull button. It's very consistent with all my other tools. If you use my other tools, you know this pull button. So as you can see, it takes this and pulls it in. And so now I can just create one layer. If I just want to create a drop-down menu, I just deselect this, and I can select this layer, and I can just update it. Boom, it's going to be updated. And there it is, right? So as you can see, well, yeah, okay, we don't have none selected. Okay, so I'm going to delete everything, all of the visibility expressions. Okay, and I can again select this, run it, and it creates it. You can hit edit, you can adjust things on the fly. If you don't want extensions, you can just select extensions and you can update it. Boom, it will update it. If you want to go to lowercase, update lowercase. If you go to title case, oops, not that one, so let's pull it in. That's the pull button. And then if you want to update this to lowercase, you update this, lowercase, title case, you get the concept. So that's what it's for. So this is to refresh this. This is to pull in what you have selected. And based on what you selected, you can push it into stuff. I mean, it's really very simple in a way. And then if you want to get rid of this, just hit delete, and then now it defaults to your selection here. So that's what that one is for. Now, another thing, the reason why I created this was because you can easily just type it yourself. You can say maybe do this. For example, we select 5 layers, and I want to create visibility and everything, but I don't want to go with these names. I want to go with just maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? And maybe I want them to be title cased. So I'm going to update it title case. And so now I can just create a drop-down menu. It will apply the visibility based on my selection. And I can say 3, and it just gives me like a default look. So you can do it that way. And if you wanted to update it, let's say I'm going to select the layers here. I'm going to pull them in and just maybe update this again. So select the last layer that you select, boom. And now we have the teams. So you get the idea. So that's what it's for. And again, you can bring in the none as your first option. Then we have colors and text and essential graphics. So if you select colors, it creates color options for each team. So that way you can set like the primary, secondary color for each team, and which I'll show you here in a second. The text, it basically creates a new text layer that is like a guide layer. It just doesn't do anything, like you can't see it, but it gives you information, the names of each layer in that text layer that you can pick whip to using expressions. And then the third one here, it basically sends all that information into the essential graphics here in here. So for example, let me do this, let me run the whole thing. So we're gonna run the whole thing, we're gonna select all of them. And the last layer we selected, again, that's where it's gonna drop all of our controls. So I'm gonna select all of them and then run it. And as you can see, it's gonna push it into the essential graphics panel, which allows us to basically treat this composition like a template. And I'll show you here in a second. So now we have a new text layer. It's this one right here. So based on what you select from here, let me undo this. Well, actually, let me hide this real quick. Push this to the top, kind of clean it up real quick. And I'm working on, I'm sure I'll reorganize this in the script, but as of right now, that's what it looks like. So for example, if I pick Spain, it shows me the logo, it shows me the name here. So I can use this source text in other compositions and basically grab the name. And you'll see here shortly. So another thing with colors, so we have like color options, color 1, color 2, and color 3. We have like options for each, like color 2, you can set it to like different options. And I go over all of this in my other video. You'll probably see it at the top right now. Just click on that video, you'll see more details. So what is that, the color thing? So each layer, basically when you enable the color, it creates 3 color options for each layer. Now imagine this being like a team, right? So let me hide this. So for example, Iceland, I can double click on this. Iceland has three colors. So imagine this being like a primary color, secondary color, and like a third color. So I can say, hey, this is gonna be primary, that's gonna be secondary. So you can quickly set colors for each team manually. And you could do like this, and blue, and so let me quickly do, we only have 5 teams, so that's not a big deal. So yellow, red for Spain, and then black for the third one. And we'll do 2 more. So we have Ukraine, probably gonna be yellow, blue, and then black, and last one is US. So we're gonna do red, let's do blue, and black. So each team has all the colors set up. So now I can go to this controls where our drop-down menu lives. So based on what team I choose, like Iceland, as you can see, it will give me the colors of Iceland, or Ukrainian colors, Spain, Spanish colors. So that comes in very handy when you create Mogurts. I'll show you here in a second. So we kind of already know what's going on here. Let me do this. So we have this logo composition that we just created. I'm gonna drag it into a new one, and let me do something like, let's call it example. All right, so in this composition, we have our logo composition that we just dragged into. We're gonna probably change the size of this one, something like that is good. Maybe shrink it a bit. Let's bring in some kind of text. We're gonna say Ukramedia. That's good. We're gonna pull it down here. Anyway, I just wanna show you some of the things that you can do with it. And maybe let's do like a background color. Maybe we could do, I'm improvising here for sure. So let's do background color. So maybe black right now. So we'll call this one BG background, and let's search for color real quick. So we want fill color. That's good. So yeah, we have like the background color, we have the team name. So we're gonna call this one team name, and we have logo. Okay, so this is how useful this is. So you can go over here and you can go to the essential graphics panel. We have all of these options. So we're only gonna focus on color 2, color 1, and the list. So I'm gonna solo that. Okay, and let's hide this. All right, so now here's what I can do. I can say, hey, background color, we're gonna tell you to be the second color of the team. So now it's a second color. Maybe text, let's do this. Text, we can use fill. Yeah, I already have it in here. So we're gonna basically tell it to grab the fill of this. We're gonna use, and tell it to be basically the first color. So text is the first color of the team, and then background the second. And then for also for the name of the team, I'm gonna go to the source text property here, and I'm gonna link it to the list. Remember, it's that text layer that we created. You can't see it because it's a guide layer. You can't see it in the final render, but it's very useful for things like that. As you can see, it shows Spain, which is super awesome. So now, based on what I choose, as you can see, it will update everything. As you can see, we go Netherlands, Spain, Ukraine, and US, and instantly we created something very interesting. It didn't take us very long. So that's why I created this tool, because I was creating a lot of mogurts. I was repeating the same steps over and over every single time, and it got annoying. And then as again, it started out with just a drop-down menu tool, and then I just kept on adding more features, and I'm sure in the future we'll have more features. And I kind of went over all of them, so you kind of know what I'm talking about here, but also where this idea came from, to where you can just type things yourself. It came from a friend of mine, Mo, from Madrid, Spain. He was basically saying he was going to build a way to do the same thing, to create a drop-down menu based on a spreadsheet. So I'm like, well, you don't need to like bring in a CSV file or anything like that. All you can do is, let's do this. So for example, I have a spreadsheet of all the months here, so I can select them, copy it. You can copy the whole list, and then you can go back to After Effects, and then in here you can just paste it, and there you go. Now you have a menu, so maybe you can uncheck this. Maybe this is just only the drop-down menu. So let's go back to here, and let's create a new layer. So new layer, and as you can see, I can quickly apply this, boom, and there they are. Super awesome. So again, maybe you're like, all right, I have this, but maybe I want for them to be all caps. So then you can just say all caps, update, and there you go. So now you can create a new, boom, there you go. So that's how easy it is. And that's essentially Smart Menu. As you can see, I've added a lot of new features for you guys to play with. But again, as of right now, it is not out yet. I have planned on like releasing it this week, but I kept on trying new things, and I kept on adding more and more stuff. So yeah, that's usually how this goes. I usually go nuts with this. And just to show you some other things, all these icons I create in Illustrator. It's super easy. As you can see, there they are. I just build the menu myself. And if you go back to After Effects, you can see that's what it looks like. And I enjoy this. This is so much fun to me. Like I can sit for hours and like tweak different things. Like, oh, I wonder if I do this. But the problem with that, you tend to break other things, and then you're like, oh man, I created this new feature, but now this doesn't work. And then you go back to here and you're trying to fix it. And that's why my due dates tend to kind of go further. And sometimes you'll have like a silly mistake. Maybe you forgot like a comma somewhere or something like that. And then you have to go into your code and change things up. So I enjoy creating tools. And eventually my goal is to combine all of my tools into one tool. That's my goal. But I still have some other things to update. SmartRect is one of them. That's definitely next. I want to update it, the UI and everything. So I'll get to it eventually. And probably after SmartRect, I will probably work on combining them all together. But as always, I want to thank you so much for your support, for supporting us, what we do here. I wouldn't be able to do what I love, which is this right here, if it wasn't for awesome people like you guys. So I want to thank you. Your support means a lot to us. And in general, I just love the fact that you guys use these tools. I mean, it's super awesome. So thank you. And as always, if you want to be a part of our free mentoring group on Facebook, I highly recommend that you join. It's totally free. Just go to ucramedia.com/community and just join. We have some awesome people in there. We have heavyweights of this industry rubbing shoulders with everybody, and they're super kind. And again, it's a place where you either go to learn or teach someone else. It's called mentoring group, which means we're there to help each other out. I mean, the whole purpose of that group is to help each other, either get helped or help somebody else. So if you want to go and help somebody, if you feel like you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, man, we'd love for you to be in that group. And if you feel like you need to get a lot of knowledge and experience, go ahead and join as well. And if you feel like you want to do both, go for it. So anyway, I hope to see you guys in that group. But as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. My name is Sergey Prakhnevsky, and this is ucramedia.com.